Hey everybody, it's Mike from the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Looking for a professional website without breaking your budget? Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs at below the competition way. Call today at 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show, get 10% off your first order. Sonic Web Studios, take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. You can check our Facebook page at Facebook.com/The Mike Wagner Show. You can download and listen on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also on Anchor FM, Radio Public, iTunes, Google Play, Apple, and more. Take the Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. Also follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. We're here with a wonderful lady who was born and raised in Seattle, Washington, then hopped over to the other side of the pond in Cologne, Germany, and she's back as well to grant us a little bit of time here. And she has a new book called Incompatible with Nature, A Mother's Story, which is available on Amazon. She's working in the real estate business and got a degree in business administration from Seattle University. And as mentioned, she's lived in Cologne, Germany since 1984. And this is just an amazing story that will just really inspire you with you in terms of labor of love. And she goes on tour, talks about her story, and she's also got some blogs and everything. And live, ladies and gentlemen, from the beautiful Pacific Northwest, ladies and gentlemen, the very talented Tracie Mayer. Tracy, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much, and good early evening to you too, Mike. Thanks for having me.
Anytime. That's what we're here for. So you have a book out called Incompatible with Nature, A Mother's Story, and it's out on Amazon as well, too. It's a story about one woman's fight to save her son's life. We'll talk about that as well, too. And, of course, the big part is that the one that got saved is living healthy at 35 years old, and you come from Seattle, Washington. You lived in Cologne, Germany for a little while, and also, you've got some blogs as well, too, and just inspirational. And before we get into all that, tell us how I got started.
Okay, started with what? Writing my book or living my life in Germany or?
Well, you can also start from the very beginning for your upbringing in Seattle, Washington, getting involved in real estate, and then talking about your time in Cologne, Germany, and also your book as well, too. So start off with your upbringing in Seattle.
Okay, great. Well, I was born here in Seattle, Washington. My mother and father began investing in real estate when my two sisters and I were very young, and they had nothing when they started off. And being a Black Americans in the city of Seattle at this time, some 55 years ago, it was not easy for my parents to get financing in the part of the city right now, which is where everybody's trying to live right now. And unfortunately, it has involved a major form of gentrification, and a lot of housing has been built here that many people cannot afford. And housing and homelessness is a very big problem in Seattle right now. In any event, my father, I'm sure, bless his soul, would be turning over in his grave if he could see what's going on. Anyhow, my father was a rebel, and my mother was always on his side. And I grew up carrying with my sisters picket signs, getting financing for the inner city here to build affordable housing for people. And over the years, I worked in the family real estate business. I started off at 9 years old, getting up on the weekends early in the morning. And,
wow.
Yes, my father said, you've got to earn your keep. He would joke about it, but he'd say, and I'd say, Daddy, it's only 9 o'clock. And he'd say, 9 o'clock, the day's half over, So, yeah, he was very inspiring. And he really instilled in me and my sisters a very strong work ethic. So, and I graduated from cleaning apartments on Saturday mornings and cleaning yards and picking up cigarette butts and dog poop, to working in the family business in terms of office. And by the time I graduated from Seattle University, we were owning and managing over 400 apartments in the city.
Wow.
Yes. It was huge what my parents and my sisters and I had accomplished. And at this particular time in 1984, I was exhausted. Daddy, as I said, was a workaholic, and I did everything I could. I mean, I was his number one son, the son he never had. And so I did
I
everything.
know how that goes.
All right then. Yeah. So, and I did everything I could to please my father. And then one day my girlfriend said, Tracy, she said, look, let's just go for a weekend to Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, just to recharge our batteries and get away. And I said, God, a weekend. Okay, that's fine. Let's do this. As long as I was back on the first of the month, because the rents were due between the first and the fifth of the month. Okay.
Hmm.
So we went, and as fates would have it, I met a man on the beach, a German man whom I eventually dated for a year, and then we got married. As corny as it sounds, it was love at first sight. Yeah.
But
So,
true at times. Yeah.
yeah, at least you think it is. And so,
Uh-huh.
yeah, we got married in Seattle, and then I moved to Germany, and I did not speak the language, and I didn't know anybody but Helmut. And but I wasn't afraid, because I was in love and I also was pregnant. Helmut and I couldn't wait to get pregnant. And I was 3 months pregnant when we got married. And my family, of course, was very happy that I was going to have a baby, but they were very, very sad that I was moving, of course, to Germany,
Uh-huh.
which is understandable. If my daughter ever did that to me, I think I'd wring her neck. So in any event, my pregnancy was very uneventful, and I was learning things at the grocery store and what bread looked like and where I could find it, and everything. I was doing everything with a German dictionary because there were no cell phones back then, and
Hmm.
only no Google Translate. So anyway, it comes time for Mark to be born, and he is, and in the hospital that I delivered Mark in. At that time, back in '84, when a woman delivered a baby via cesarean section, she had to stay in the hospital for 10 days. And I delivered Mark via cesarean section because he was in the breech position.
Hmm.
Everything's fine. And I stayed in the hospital those 10 days with Mark, and I was breastfeeding and bonding and really just immersed in this new experience of motherhood. And on the day of our being released from the hospital to go home, the attending nurse told Helmut, of course, I didn't understand the language at the time, but she explained to Helmut that they'd made an appointment for us for the very following day at the University Clinic of Cologne Pediatric Children's Heart Hospital. And the reason they said they'd made this appointment was because they weren't sure if Mark's skin color looked a little blue, and if it did, could that be because of my skin color, being a black woman, and
Hmm.
Helmut being a woman? So I didn't want to go to this appointment because I was sure that everything was fine with Mark. He had 10 fingers, 10 toes for 9 months, or for the last 6 months with my pediatric, I mean with my obstetrician, uh, who confirmed that everything was fine with Mark. I was sure that everything was fine. As a matter of fact, when Mark was 3 months in utero, this would be right after I arrived in Germany. The obstetrician gave me a printout of Mark's fetal heart rate that showed that his heartbeat was steady and strong and normal.
Hmm.
So, when he got put in my arms when he was first born, I was over the moon. So the next day, in any event, I said, Tracy, just go to this appointment. Maybe this is just the German way of doing things, just to make sure that everything's in order. Everything's fine anyway. So just go. So we went. And you get these moments in life that you never forget, and this is one of mine. And the chief cardiologist, who was known as the professor,
Hmm.
he was examining Mark, and he examined him with the ultrasound probe over his chest, his tiny chest, for a half hour, and he never said a word. And of course, I was growing more anxious by the minute. And finally, he did speak, and Helmut, my husband, he slapped his hand to his forehead, and he slumped in his chair, and I grabbed Helmut and I said, Helmut, what did he say? And the professor said, does your wife speak German? And Helmut said, no. And then Helmut looked at me and he said, something's wrong. So we had to leave Mark in the hospital overnight for further tests because they wanted to make a heart catheterization. And I didn't even know what a heart catheterization was.
Mm-hmm.
And I was screaming and crying and just over the edge to hysteria. But we did leave him there. And the next day we made it back to the hospital. And the cardiologist said that Mark was born with a very rare form of heart disease, and that it was not possible for him to survive more than a day or two. He would never thrive, and that he was born incompatible with nature.
Mm-hmm.
And it nearly destroyed me. I mean, the shock of it all was just truly unbearable. And in any event, we had to leave Mark in the hospital, and day after day would go by, and I'd be in the hospital, and I'd be cradling and loving Mark and doing my best to mother him, all under the stares of this hospital staff who did not believe that Mark was going to live, and that who I'm sure thought I was insane. But I didn't care because it was almost as if I willed my child to live. And he didn't die. Mark
Mm-hmm.
didn't die. And we'd been in the hospital then 2 months and 7 days. And I said, Helmut, I said, if we continue to leave Mark in this hospital waiting for him to die, as these doctors keep saying, he will also develop neurological problems because his sauerstoff, his oxygen levels are so low. And I said, how do you expect me to live with that? I can't. In any event, I fought with Helmut, who would take my message to the cardiologist, and we fought, and they lied and said that one of their operating rooms wasn't working. In any event, my parents found a doctor in Dusseldorf, which is a town about 45-minute Autobahn drive from Cologne. And I talked to the chief cardiologist there, and he said, Tracy, bring your son to me. And when Mark was 2 months and about 10 days old, he had his first surgery. 9 months later, he had his second surgery. And then when he was 9 years old, I discovered that he was looking a little more cyanotic under his eyes and under his fingernail beds, and becoming more out of breath, and not having so much energy. And so we went to the cardiologist back in Cologne, which is where we were again. And he confirmed my worst fears that it was time for Mark to have his next surgery. This would have been his third. And this would have truly been the surgery that would save his life.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, I braced myself and I said, okay, we are going to have to do this. Now, mind you, I've been fighting, and for Mark's life, I've been fighting endocarditis and colds and just everything, fevers. And I knew we had to do something if I was to save my child's life. He was 9 years old. So I said to him, so what do you want to do? What kind of surgery will you carry out? And his answer went way beyond the pale of my understanding. He said, we won't know until we open him up.
Ooh.
Yeah. Now, you have to understand, your child is 9 years old. He's a real person, a real little boy. And this is the answer that this man is giving you. And that answer was the wrong answer. So I had to find a plan B, and I did. But it almost didn't come to fruition because the University Clinic of Cologne tried to block me from taking Mark to this world-renowned cardiologist surgeon who was going to save Mark's life, who had a plan to save Mark's life. But well, I don't want to tell you why he didn't want to let us go, because I would be giving away a lot of the book. But in any event, we made it. And today, Mark is 35 years old, and of course he takes medication, but he lives his life, and he loves his life. He skis and he swims and he has sex and he is in love. He works like a normal 35-year-old. And he was born with only half of his heart. So he's truly remarkable. And and the reason why I wrote this book, well, actually I didn't plan to write it. It all started when I first took Mark to the hospital, and nobody there spoke English except for one doctor. And he, of course, was not holding my hand all day. So I was monitoring the medicine Mark took and when he took it and how his stool would look and all these things. And I was getting, I felt like a pariah because these nurses and doctors just didn't believe that Mark was going to survive. And I refused to give up. And I just told myself, Tracy, if you can survive to tell this story, then you must do it because you can perhaps help somebody else who is struggling to face their own mountain of adversity. And that's the message in my book, is to never give up. Mike, I think the absolute worst thing that can happen in life is for us to give up. And then we'll always be burdened by the question of, what if I had done more?
Mm-hmm.
And that was what was killing me. I just thought, I'm not going to live with that. I can't live with that. So I will do what I can. And yeah, God was good. He blessed us. My son is alive today.
That is amazing too. And of course, there are some things we'll ask about in the book. But first, to listen to the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at SonicWebStudios.com for all your needs. Looking for a professional website without breaking your budget? Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs at below the competition rate. Call today at 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show. Get 10% off your first order. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. You can check our Facebook page at Facebook.com/The Mike Wagner Show. You can download and listen on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also on Anchor FM, Radio Public, iTunes, Google Play, Apple, and more. Take the Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. Also follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. We're here with Tracie Frank Mayer, the author of Incompatible with Nature, a mother's story, available on Amazon. She talked about a good portion of the book, and her son Mark, who's 35 and very healthy, and the ordeal that was going from Seattle to Cologne, and interacting with nurses and doctors in a German language as well too. And there's something I noted in here too, in which Mark had heterotoxy syndrome, and this is something I've never heard of, and you can just tell us all about it.
Okay, yes. Well, heterotoxy syndrome is often associated with babies born with congenital heart disease. And actually what happens with heterotoxy is that the internal organs are arranged on the opposite side of the body. For example, the liver is on the opposite side from where it normally should be. And along with this heterotoxy, Mark had what they call multisplenia, which is normally we have one spleen, and Mark was born with many of them. Now, the good thing about that was that this helped him fight infections, as I understand. Yes, but heterotoxy is also a part of Mark's congenital heart disease.
Okay, and also too with heterotoxy, and I was just thinking about it. If how rare is it, and it's how many cases has there been, and this is probably a tough question as well too, and I guess it's a case of how it can be treated, prevented, or how it can make more people aware of it, and what can they do about it. It's a rather tough question. I was trying to phrase it best I can.
Yeah, you did pretty good. So first of all, heterotoxy cannot be, we don't know why it happens. It's same thing with congenital heart disease. Sometimes it could happen because, of a mother's being exposed to carcinogens or, any kind of negative outside influence. But oftentimes, many times, as in my case, we don't know why this happens. It just happens in at the beginning constellation of when life begins to happen. And we just can't explain it. Further, with heterotoxy, there are many Facebook organizations that talk about heterotoxy, parent organizations, which are a very big help. I didn't have any of this back in the day. Also, too, with Mark, how often does heterotaxy happen? That's a very difficult question. I don't have the answer to that. I can tell you that 1 in 100 or 110 children is born with a cardiac heart disease, and 1 out of 4 of those children is born as what is called, as my son, a critical heart disease, meaning that they will have to have surgery. Now, in the foreword to my book, which was written by Dr. Michael Freed from Children's Boston Hospital, he wrote that with Mark, his particular heterotaxy and heart disease occurs in maybe 1 in 100,000 children.
1 in 100,000. Wow.
Yes, so that gives you a slight idea of what I was contending with then.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And also, too, that was this the first case of heterotoxy that occurred in Germany, or in how many cases of heterotoxy occurred in the United States?
That I can't tell you. I don't know. I am certain that my son's condition was very rare for the University Clinic of Cologne because that is why they didn't want to operate. They lied and said that the operating rooms were occupied or whatever, but that was not the case. They really just didn't believe, I think even more than not knowing what to do, they just didn't believe that Mark would be able to survive. But if they thought that he wouldn't be able to survive, they would have tried to do something, which is what they chose not to do by that first operation. So, yeah.
And of course, and I'm sure as time went on, this was different in 1984, but then, fast forward today, it's like heterotoxy, could be able to be to be picked up or detected, or something can be done about it, and that's what it sounds like. It's like advances in technology can make this possible and be detected.
Well, I can tell you, I can't speak for heterotaxy, but I can say that with pediatric heart disease, doctors are able to now detect, of course, in utero and sometimes operate in utero on these babies with their heart disease. And for Mark, in my particular case, they did not have the technology to detect this at the time. In fact, I was at a conference in Barcelona a year ago, and I was told that the equipment to detect this kind of heart disease was on the market several months after Mark was born. So,
Wow.
yeah,
That actually got a lot of attention after that.
exactly. So thank God that, women are now, they know, they are informed, and they know. Now, sometimes it does still happen, of course, that, babies are born and the parents don't know. But oftentimes, as I said, thankfully, women are told while they're pregnant that their baby has an issue to be dealt with.
And of course, now with new technology these days, they can pick it up in an instant as well, too. And I know of some stories that has happened as well, too, and close to some people. And of course, in terms of close to people, we'll talk about off the air as well, too. You also have some groups you support as well, too. And you also are an advocate of Ronald Mcdonald House, Doctors for Ethiopia, and more. And you're also active in quite a number of things. But first, listen to the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Looking for a professional website without breaking your budget? Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today at 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show. Get 10% off your first order. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. You can check our Facebook page at Facebook.com/The Mike Wagner Show. You can download and listen on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also on Anchor FM, Radio Public, iTunes, Google Play, Apple, and more. Take the Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on YouTube. Also, follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. We're here with author Tracie Frank Mayer, the author of Incompatible with Nature, a mother's story, available on Amazon. And she just gave an amazing story about her son, Mark, being able to survive numerous surgeries. We talked about the heterotoxy syndrome and, being aware. And you also support a number of groups as well, too, like the Parent Initiative for Children with Heart Disease. You're also a supporter of the Ronald McDonald House, which is very, very powerful and helpful throughout the United States. Doctors for Ethiopia and VITA, Assistant Dogs organization, and maybe you can just tell about some of the groups that you support, especially involving with heart disease. That's probably most important.
Well, yeah, sure. For example, with the Ronald McDonald House, it took me a while before I had the inner strength myself to be able to work with the families there. We cook for them and prepare them meals and present them in such a way as if they were actually in a restaurant. I mean, we're beautifully presented with candles. All the parents have to do is come in after a long day, just sit, enjoy their meal, have a conversation with us if they'd like. And I struggled with that because I knew the complete and utter fear that I would see in the parents' eyes. And I just had to make sure that I was ready to deal with that. And I said, Tracy, you've got this, you've got the strength to get in there and try to lift someone else up. And I'm so thankful that I decided to do that because it feels so good, the camaraderie of getting together with 3 other people, and we cook and we clean, and it's just a wonderful feeling when all is said and done. And same thing with the Parents Initiative for Heart Sick Children in Cologne. We get together and we brainstorm. We make certain different kinds of activities for the families and the kids, different outings, different excursions. We serve the parents in the wards coffee and cake on Saturdays, and we just do what we can to support these people and do our best to give them hope, make them smile, and maybe even tell a stupid joke, but do what we can to support them. And I love the Vita organization that is for the assistant dogs. What these dogs can do to help people who cannot physically help themselves is truly amazing. And I'm very thankful to be a part of that organization, as well as Doctors for Ethiopia, because medical equipment is collected. All kinds of good things are gathered together with a lovely woman. Her name is Tigist in Cologne, Germany. She herself is Ethiopian, and what she organizes and what she takes back to her people in Ethiopia, I'm very proud to be a part of that. So yes, it feels good to be involved and to give.
Mm-hmm. And of course, being involved in Cologne, you're also active with the American International Women's Club of Cologne, and tell us more about that. I'd love to visit there one day.
Yes, you must. The Women's Club is super. We're a subgroup of the FACO, Federation of Women. It's a huge organization of women that is involved all over the world for Americans who are overseas. And oh my goodness, we have all kinds of activities. There's a Stitch and Bitch, for example, for people who like to sew.
Stitch and Bitch?
Stitch and Bitch. And we have our charity organizations where we support certain groups of people who need our help financially and otherwise. And we help make life a little easier and smoother for the women who are coming to Cologne from America and other countries to show them the ropes, where to buy the best meat and, the best milk and flowers and this kind of thing. It's a wonderful organization of really good, dedicated women.
Mm. That sounds amazing too. And how do you compare the lifestyle of America, especially in Seattle, to the lifestyle of Germany, especially in Cologne?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I mean, each city has its, as they say, fortile and noctile. Its advantages and disadvantages. What I miss about Cologne is the water here in Seattle. It's like right now I'm looking out at Lake Washington, and on the other side of me is Puget Sound, which leads into the ocean. We don't have a lot of water in Cologne. In fact, we only have the Rhine River.
Okay.
And yes, you don't want to swim in the Rhine because it's not the cleanest, but it is lovely just to walk across the Rhine, and Cologne has, on the other hand, lots of history, and I love history, archaeology, and everything old. I live, as a matter of fact, right near the Cologne Cathedral, which is a World Heritage Landmark, and construction began in the year, I believe 1284. And construction lasted over 800 years.
Wow, 800. They must have took their sweet time.
Yeah. They did, or something like that.
Hey,
So
did you hear that, China? You don't build things in 6 days like hospitals. Take 800 years if you have to.
hello, hello. Yeah,
Exactly. Hello. Take
yeah,
800 years if you want.
there you go. There you go. Yeah, so I love the history. I love the culture. I love living amongst different cultures and hearing different languages. And that's one thing I miss when I'm in Seattle. But on the other hand, yeah, like I said, each city has things I love about it and things that I don't love so much about it. So
Hmm.
I'm blessed and happy that I can enjoy both.
There you go, too. And of course, an update on Mark as well, too. 35 years old. He was doing some swimming, enjoying life, and an update on where he's working, what's he doing, and also maybe he sharing his story.
Yeah, Mark, I forgot he's working at this company. I always forget the name of it. It's a long name in German. It's an international company, and they concentrate on providing uh, international housing, developing water systems for impoverished countries. Um, Planting food, all this kind of thing. And he really loves his work. And it's wonderful because it's international and an international organization that does good for people. So he's really happy to be there and they're happy to have him. And I'm thankful that he's happy working with something that he really loves.
That go ahead. I'm sorry, you're gonna say something.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, yeah, he feels good. That's my main thing. He feels good. He takes care of himself. He watches what he eats. He's very conscientious about going to the gym and getting his workout in. And yeah, he wears his scars, his scar down the middle of his chest as a battle scar. In fact, I just posted on the blog yesterday. He's got this huge tattoo on his chest and it says, it's a Bible quote: "Have I not commanded you? Be strong, be not afraid, for I am always with you." Something like that. And it's really beautiful. And I'm particularly thankful that Mark took some of my preachings, as I say, to heart. It's like one day I heard him say, well, it's like my mom always says, only God can count the stars. And what I mean by that is that even though these doctors always said he's not going to live, he can't survive, he can't do this, he can't, well, he did. And
Hmm.
that's because I believe that only God has that vision to say. And so it just pleased me because I'm thinking, oh God, he's thinking, oh God, she's nagging at me again. But he listens and he's
Hmm.
listened for 35 years. And so I know that I've done my homework and that pleases me greatly.
That is amazing. Just a fantastic story. Very inspiring. And of course, you also got a couple of blogs as well, too, and some other projects. Just tell us quickly about them.
Yeah, okay. Well, I've got the blog that I write with my sister. We alternate days, and the name of our blog is Menopause Barbies, www.menopausebarbies.com. And our motto is that we may be getting older, but we're still dolls. And we write about life and love and what's going on. My sister's more of the funny one between the two of us. She's also a terrific writer. What else is going on? I'm working on the follow-up to my book, and that's about also that main theme of never giving up. It's actually about my separation from Mark's father. Normally or usually what happens when parents have children who are special or have special needs, that creates a huge stress on the marriage.
Hmm.
And sometimes those marriages end in separation or divorce. Well, I stayed married with Helmut for 24 years, and my leaving him had nothing to do with Mark's heart disease. But that is another story in itself, and I've already started writing it. And again, it's about never giving up, being strong. And I mean, I was a typical housewife, and when I realized that my marriage was no longer working, I had to seriously jump into cold water, and I didn't know how I would feed myself. And he'd been, the bread earner and the money maker, and I had to figure it all out. But it was sink or swim, and I just kept telling myself, Tracy, there's no giving up and no giving out. You can do this, and I
Hmm.
did. And so again, my intention is to inspire.
Hmm. And also, we're looking forward to follow up on your book as well, too, on the next show as well, too. We'd love to hear more about that. And of course, talking about your book as well, too. Any plans for a book tour, or do you have any book signings are in the works right now?
Oh, yes, I've been doing them both in English and in German. And let's see here, I have coming up in March, I'll be in New York speaking at a pediatric cardiology congress. And then the next one I have coming up is in June in Zurich, Switzerland, another pediatric cardiology congress. Yeah, and we'll see what else I can get my hands into after that. Yeah, so I'm really busy giving these presentations and doing my best to spread awareness and to support. I really just want to support, and I want to encourage doctors to be as empathetic as they can with their charges, because we need that soothing syrup.
That is amazing too. And of course, you've been speaking German for a while, and maybe you can just speak a few phrases, or just say a little something in German or something. It's like, I just love hearing people speak in different languages.
Na gut, okay, ich heiße Tracy. Ich freue mich, Mike, dass ich hier bin, und herzlichen Dank für die Einladung. And I just said, my name is Tracy. Thank you for having me, Mike, and I really appreciate the invitation.
Danke schön.
Bitte, bitte.
Well, I'm practicing. I still have to get Rosetta Stone, or unless I just have you over for a little bit too. So that's just amazing.
There you go, one way or the other.
There you go. There you go. And just a couple of things as well too. And you talked about writing and some of your books as well too. And who happens to be your favorite authors or your favorite books?
I really love Edgar Allan Poe, and I really enjoyed reading the works of Sylvia Plath. I would have to say that those two authors are my favorites.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. And quote, nevermore, nevermore, the Raven.
There you go. Yeah. Oh, yes.
That is amazing. We're here with Tracie Mayer, the author of Incompatible with Nature, A Mother's Story. You can see it, you get it available on Amazon. And who do you consider your biggest influence in your career?
The biggest influence in my career may not be particularly one person, but I would say anybody who, I love the underdog who gets up and carries on. And that could be anybody. That could be anybody. It could be somebody down the street, could be a famous person on the stage, but anyone inspires me who has the will and the grit and the determination to stick with the grind and get to where they want to be.
That's a really good idea. I love underdogs, I'll tell you that. Not just the cartoon character from the 60s, but just underdogs in general. That's amazing. And what's the best advice you can give to anybody at this point?
Never give up.
I think I should have known that earlier, but it's just to make sure when it comes to best advice. And Tracy, just want to say a big thank you for your time. You've been fantastic. Look forward to having you again soon, especially with your book. Keep us up to date. And once again, tell us about your upcoming projects. What's your website? How do people contact you? And where can people purchase your book?
Yes, my book is on Amazon and available in all bookstores. You just have to ask for it. It's also available in German on Amazon for all my German readers and listeners. Let's see here. What was the rest of your question about
upcoming projects? What's the website? How do people contact you? And where can people purchase your books?
Okay, yes. Book purchase on Amazon and in bookstores. My website is www.traciemeyer.com. There you can also find my electronic press kit. You can see a video of me speaking about the book, pictures of my family and Mark. Also, you can see the blogs there that my sister and I write. Let's see. Speaking engagements coming up, I already referenced to. And you will also find everything on my website, what's coming up and what's going on.
That is fantastic. Tracy, just want to say a big thank you for your time. You've been very fantastic, inspirational. Looking forward to having you again soon. And do us a favor, keep us up to date. Love to have you back on.
You're the best. Thank you, Mike, so much.